All right. We're here in Philly
Oh yeah.
with Lennon. Thank you for being down to do the interview today.
Yeah.
I appreciate you always being down to support what I'm doing, so thank you.
Yeah, of course.
But here we are, Hardcore Pride Day 2. We're here early. The flea market is about to get underway. You guys can't see it, it's off camera, but we're here early. You're a busy man today, so seriously, I appreciate you taking the time to do this today.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for asking me to do it.
Okay, I just want to get to Scarab. There's a lot of buzz about Scarab.
Yeah.
You guys just played your first show, put out is it fair to call it a demo?
Yeah, it's a demo.
A demo on Rebirth. What was the inception of that band? How did that all come together?
So at one point I had kind of been like joking with Tyler about doing like a band. I mean, I've wanted to do a band like that for like a really long time. It's like very, very, very specific influences. And I've been wanting to do a band like that forever and play guitar in it. And like his whole vibe is like perfect for it. And I kind of wanted him to sing for it, but like he was like singing in Year of the Knife at the time. So I'd kind of been like, yo, we got to do this band one day, like whatever. And he'd been like, yeah, it was cool. And then once he was no longer in Year of the Knife, I was just like, yo, man, I know you got a lot going on right now. I don't want to like push you or like punish you about it. But like, if you want to do that band, like, let's do it. And I'll put the ball in your court and I won't, you know what I mean? Like, I won't bug you about it anymore. But like, just know I'm serious about it. And he like the next day, it was actually at This Is Hardcore. The next day he walked up to me and he was like, yo, let's do it. Let's do this fucking band. And me and him wrote the whole demo together. We didn't like bring in any other band members until after it was already recorded. Because we wanted to, me and him just like had this vision for it. And we just like wanted to write and record it ourselves and then just like bring other people in. So yeah, it's been awesome. We sent this, Bob was like, yo, I want to put out tapes on Rebirth. And we were like, yeah, sick. Like, I've been like, it sucks because I have so many friends who run cool labels and like, I want to do stuff with like all of their labels, you know? So it was cool to be able to do something for Bob. And as soon as we sent him the demo, he was like, yo, this has to be on a 7-inch. Like, this has to be on wax. So we're like, yeah. So he decided to press it on a 7-inch. And yeah, it's been people seem into it. So I'm very happy.
And for anyone who may not know, who's officially in the band? Because obviously people know Tyler, now they know you, but can you speak about the other members in the band?
Yeah. So Breza, who plays drums in like Carbonite and Simulacra, also is playing drums. ZTP, who is South Jersey hardcore legend. He's like, he hasn't really been in a lot of bands, but he's like the fucking man. He's like such a cool ass dude and like fucking insanely sick guitar player. And like we were just like, yo, he needs to be in the band. Like we always talk about, I was like explaining it to somebody yesterday. I was like, if you're just like casual, you might not know ZTP, but that's like your favorite motherfucker's favorite motherfucker. Like he's the fucking shit. So he's in. We kind of have like a nebulous lineup. This Molly's friend Ben, who's this like older dude from Delaware, is gonna play sometimes. Lumpy, who runs Days, is gonna play sometimes when he's around. Maybe if everybody's there, we'll end up playing as like a fucking 6-piece. I don't know, but like the core 4 members of the band who played the first show and are like probably gonna play every show. Me, Breza, Molly, and ZTP. So
okay. And for me, being a fan of what you've been doing in hardcore, back when you were in South Florida, it's cool. Fast forward to now, you moved to Philly, and it's taken a little time for you to like start some newer bands. And I was always curious if you were going to kind of like inject your influence into the Philly hardcore scene, and to see that happening now in real time with Carbonite and now with Scarab, I think it's really awesome. And I was just curious from your point of view, because obviously some other members of other bands that you're in moved down here as well.
Yeah.
But was this something very important to you, and did you want to take your time with it?
I mean, I just always want to play in bands. It's like what I've been doing forever and like what I love to do. And I also though didn't want to move up here and immediately be like, okay, fuck Seed of Pain, fuck Envision, like I'm only doing these bands now, especially because like half of Seed of Pain and Envision guys all live in the Northeast now. I mean, Envision's more Philly members than South Florida members now. Seed of Pain is multiple Philly members and one guy who lives in New York, and then 2 members who still live in South Florida. So I didn't want to just come up here and like abandon those bands. That was something we talked about before I moved and Alfredo moved and Sehaz moved and Sven moved. So that was kind of like an intentional thing. Like I didn't want to just move up here, jump into a bunch of new bands here and start neglecting those other bands. So you just kind of let it happen organically too. At this point in my life, like I'm 31. I'm not out here like worrying about like, oh, I gotta like do like the right moves and make this strategic move with this band. I'm just like having fun and doing what I want to do and like letting it happen on its own. And like if people like it, cool. And if we do stuff, cool. And if not, then like whatever. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, well, I think whatever you're doing, it's the right stuff because you with the track record of Carbonite and Scarab so far.
Thanks.
In my opinion,
more Philly bands with me. I'm working on too.
Okay.
One of my favorite drummers now lives in Philly, and I have like a very specific thing that I want to do with him, and I've started bugging him about it. He seems into it. We'll see if I'm gonna try to do a band with another band up here that'll be kind of different than those, like pretty different than those other bands. So.
Okay, it's awesome to hear. But just want to touch on Scarab one last time. First show, were you surprised at the reaction, or what was your feelings going into that first show?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was going to be like that crazy. That was the best first show I've ever played in any band, like for sure. Mm-hmm. Like no question, that was the best first show I've ever played. One of my favorite sets I've ever played, like right off the bat, like for sure. I knew it was going to be like pretty good because I had a bunch of friends texting me saying how excited they were. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'll have at least, our friends going off. Yeah. But I didn't know. Also, like our friends, we had sent the demo before it was out. So they had already been listening to it and gotten time to get familiar with it. But the demo itself dropped a week before the show. So I didn't know that there was going to be like random kids who were like singing along. You know what I mean? So that's cool.
Yeah, I think it was really cool to see the support from, your friends, our mutual friends. And I try not to get blinded by the bias that I have there, right? Because obviously I'm friends with you guys in the band. So I was like, I never want to let that get in the way of my judgment on the music.
Yeah.
So I, took my own time, sat down, listened to the record, and I was like, yeah, this is like undeniably good. Like not just because I'm, friends and fans of what you guys are doing in hardcore, but yeah, seriously, that demo front to back is so sick.
Yeah, I mean, people seem into it. There's, like I said, there's really specific influences for it, and I feel like 50% of the influences, like people pick up on and like that, and the other 50% is like kind of this like weird niche thing that like I don't know if like people really know about outside of like regionally. Mm-hmm. So I think there's enough of like certain things in there to make people. It's pretty like accessible, I think, for people to like it. So,
okay,
yeah.
All right, and final thing.
Yeah.
First show out of the way, the demo's out. Do you have any future plans, or are you just kind of taking some time with it and just letting more people kind of find their way to the demo?
I mean, we're gonna play today.
Surprise.
We're just gonna jump on and we're just gonna jump on and play today. Our set is literally gonna be 5 minutes, so like it doesn't even matter. Mm-hmm. We got offered a pretty crazy, I don't know, we just gotten offered some stuff already. We're just like, I don't really know what the vibe is, to be honest. Like it kind of just goes back to what I said. Like, we're just going to have fun with it and just like do whatever. The band very much for me, the way like I'm kind of looking at it is like Mully's driving the car. Okay. I built it. I built the car. I built the engine for him. I wrote the songs. As far as like the aesthetic and like creative choices and like the vibe and like how much we do or how little we do, that's all up to Mully. I'm just like, I really like, he's my favorite frontman, maybe literally ever. He has my favorite voice and like, he's so charismatic. His lyrics are awesome. He like does and writes things that like only he can pull off to me. And like, so I just was like, he needs to be singing for a band. And like, I wanted to do a band like this for a while, like I said, so it seemed like, and this is like the perfect band in my brain for him to be fronting. So this whole band for me is just like a vehicle for Mully to be Mully. So it's really his call. You know what I mean? Whatever he wants to do, I'm totally down to do it.
Okay. Hell yeah. That's awesome to hear. All right. I want to move on to Carbonite. Demo comes out. Was that during the pandemic?
No, it was before.
Oh, because before the pandemic. But then obviously the pandemic was a big reason why not a lot happened with the band.
So Carbonite I wrote and recorded a 3-song demo when I was getting ready to move to Philly. And I had hit up a couple of people to be like, yo, do you guys want to play in this band when I move up there? And they were like, yes. And then pandemic happened. The first show, the show that was supposed to be our first show was the first show that got canceled before the pandemic. It was the Unity barbecue that Bob does.
Yep, I remember that.
And we basically, like, by the time like shows started happening again, the demo had been out for like 2.5 years at that point, almost, I think. And I was just kind of like, we missed the boat. Like, who cares, you know? And like the people who I like had planned on being in the band were kind of just like off busy doing other things at that point. And I was just like, it doesn't need to be a band, like whatever. And then Breza hit me up and was like, yo, if you ever like, he was like, I was just listening to that demo and it's like awesome. Like, dude, you should play shows. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to, like, I don't have a lineup or anything. And he was like, literally just let me assemble a fucking lineup and we'll just be a band. And I was just like, okay, if you want to do that, I'm down. And he just kind of like recruited everybody. And that's how the band started being a band. So,
and I'm happy for that, because I do remember there was some chatter, because I obviously was a huge fan of the demo, bought that first shirt, that Metal Gear rip, and I was like, this band is it. Like, I fucking love this band. But then just hearing like, okay, like, we're not sure if this is going to be a thing, kind of bummed me out. But then to see you guys, you know, start playing shows and be more active, and now here we are, and I get to see you guys live for the first time. That has me really excited.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it should be cool. I did another demo around the same time as Carbonite. Is this band called Polarized that it was like me and Burke, who plays in like a shitload of my bands, was singing for it. And both those demos came out at the same time. And I kind of just in my head thought that like neither of them would ever, I mean, Polarized will definitely never do anything at this point. Like, I don't even think anyone is aware that that demo exists really, but I'm glad that Carbonite gets to do stuff. It's fun, and I don't think it's a priority band for anybody, because everybody in the band is in a bunch of other bands.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll maybe do a weekender here or there or something, but like, it's important for me, I think, just to be able to have a band that can just like play Philly shows and stuff, you know? So
that's awesome. Okay, and then last night Envision played, which I think it's always for me a special treat, because I don't get to see them that often. So I'm just curious, from your perspective, do you guys ever see Envision, you know, maybe hitting the road again? Because I think back to when I saw you guys in San Diego, like, you know, years ago at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if there are any of my bands that are gonna tour, it's more than likely gonna be Envision or Seed of Pain. Envision is going to Japan and Southeast Asia in May.
That's awesome.
And I'd like to do stuff, especially because we're about to put out this LP, and I'm really excited about how the LP turned out. So yeah, who knows? I mean, I don't know at this point if any of my bands are going to be like, you know, going out doing fucking full US tours and touring for like weeks on end, but like Envision is a band that I could see doing, you know, weekenders here and there and stuff like that. So, and that's something that like I'd like to do ideally. So yeah, hopefully.
Okay. I would, not just me, but I know a lot of people would love to see Envision back in California.
Yeah, we've actually talked about it. We want to try to make a point. We were going to try to take Seed of Pain and Envision both out to California this year. It was actually something we were discussing, but for Seed of Pain, we were kind of like, we just did California. I didn't get to do it with them because I had just started a new job, but Seed of Pain just did California, and we were just like, we have kind of been like neglecting the Northeast. Like, we played Philly regularly, but we've never really played like, you know, Connecticut, you know, like New York, like, so we were just like, we should probably play the Northeast before we go to Cali again. And Envision, I think, is kind of the same vibe. We were talking about doing it like this summer, but we were like, let's just do a few other things first and then like try to make it out there. But I really am gonna try. We're gonna try to get both bands out to the West Coast relatively soon, I think.
Okay.
So
please come to Orange County.
Yeah.
Call me.
I would
make
love.
it happen.
Yeah, I would love to play Orange County with both bands. So
yeah, we'd love to have you there.
Yeah.
Orange County is special, but obviously there's a ton of other great scenes. LA, San Diego.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you in Orange
Yeah,
County.
yeah.
Okay. And more recently, you started your own podcast, which I think is awesome. It's on the From Within Records podcast network, which is awesome. With our friend Dan. Who, I know he's supposed to be here later, so he's not here right now.
Yeah, he's coming. He'll be here.
But where did that idea come from?
Me and Dan just have a shitload in common and interest in movies, and we just talk about movies all the fucking time. And we were just, I don't know, it just kind of came out of nowhere. We're like, yo, we should just fucking do a movie podcast and talk about these fucking stupid ass movies. Like, fuck it. Like, so I don't know, it just came out of nowhere. Just kind of was like a fun thing for us. So, we were just like, we talk about hardcore a lot too and like other stuff. But like, I don't know, I feel like if me and him did a hardcore podcast, it would just be like, there's already like a bunch of our friends who do hardcore podcasts that are like make more sense to exist than like us doing one. It'd be a lot of the same stuff, and like we just wanted to do something fun and cool and different. And like it seems like a thing where there just seems to be like so far like a small handful of people who like really enjoy it, and that's cool. We're down with that. Like we just want to like, we don't care if anybody even listens to it or not. If they do, awesome, obviously, but it's just fun for us to just like talk about movies. So
yeah, and like I said, I think you guys have good chemistry. So for me, like Dan's been on my podcast like a ton of times. If I'm being honest, I think Dan right now has the record for being on my podcast more than anybody.
Tyler Short has to have the record. There's no fucking way Dan has the record. It has to be Tyler Short.
I think Tyler is coming up on Dan, but because Dan did a bunch before we did the Disney Plus stuff.
Okay.
And people are probably wondering why Dan hasn't been on for like She-Hulk or Miss Marvel. To be honest, it was just a kind of whack series. We just didn't want to do it. Crap. No beef between Dan and I. I love Dan. I love Warren. So he'll be back on in the future. But I think it's cool. I enjoy listening to you guys talk about movies because I'm not a movie buff at all, right? Like to me, watching movies is like a commitment. I'm like, fuck, like I'd shy away from it because it takes so much time.
Yeah.
So to be able to listen to you guys who have way more knowledge and great perspective, it's fun for me, and it kind of gives me direction on what movies I should watch because I haven't watched a lot of movies. Yeah,
I mean, to be honest, like to even call us movie buffs is like crazy because like Dan definitely has more interest in like legit like cinephile movies than I do. I have like I'm really into the stuff that I'm really into. Like I'm a movie buff about certain things. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I like the weird like sci-fi action like Western like fucking just like weird shit like that. Like I'm not out here watching like La La Land and shit. That's just like not really my shit.
Okay.
I like what I like, and so like that'll be kind of reflected on the podcast. Is like we'll talk about like that kind of stuff more so.
Yeah,
we're open to like whatever genre, but there's definitely the movies are definitely going to have a vibe. You know what I mean? It's not going to be like we're not going to be out here talking about the whale and stuff. Probably like so.
Yeah. One thing that I have enjoyed is with each new episode there's like new art, because I obviously with the first one it was just the smiley face. I was like, okay, maybe that's just their logo, but then with each new episode you guys find a new way to incorporate that, which I thought was awesome. Whose idea was that?
I think I did it for I think it was probably Dan's idea. I don't know, to be honest.
Okay.
But the logo is definitely the smiley face, and like there will probably be episodes like we were stumped the last episode that came out was Ricky O, and we were like so stumped trying to figure out how to incorporate the smiley face for that one that we just didn't do it. We just used the regular artwork. So like if there's an episode, we're not gonna like make it a rule, and we're not gonna think too much about it. Like if there's something that comes naturally and we think is funny, then we'll do it. But otherwise, it'll just be the logo. So
okay, for sure. And how have you been enjoying doing the podcast? Because obviously it's a new thing. But for you to be able to do that with Dan, how's it been for you? Because you guys are 7 episodes?
We have like 4 or 5 out, and then we have like a few more recorded. We've been recording them at like a really good clip, so we have like a backlog now, which is good because I'm going to Asia for almost a month, and Dan's got like touring obligations and stuff, so we're just trying to get like a good backlog of stuff so that we can just like keep them coming out consistently, even if we have to take a little break from recording them. So
for sure, that's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I even told you, privately. I think that's like the biggest thing when you're starting something new is you just got to be consistent.
Yeah, for sure. It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's been fun. I mean, the conversations that we have are literally just like the type of conversations we'd be having, like just like shooting the shit. Anyways, so it was just us recording, and like we actually have our first episode where we have a guest coming on that we're about to record.
Oh, awesome.
We're gonna record. Have you ever seen The Edge of Quarrel?
No, I've not.
Do you know what it is?
No.
So it's like this like horrendous ass movie that's like it's like made by hardcore kids and it's like starring hardcore kids and it's like about like the hardcore scene in Seattle and it's just about like a gang of like punks, like hardcore kid, like punk hardcore kids and a gang of like straight edge kids that just like have beef and fight.
Okay.
It's and it has like John Pettibone from Undertow plays like the leader of the straight edge gang kind of, and then like there's like a dude from like the Murder City Devils that's in it, and there's like a bunch of like footage of them like going to shows, but like the show footage is like actual show footage, like Botch and like I think Undertow and like a bunch of fucking Seattle bands from the time. And it's like it's so fucking bad. It's so fucking bad, but it's really funny and like ridiculous and stupid and like I don't know. But we got Matt Kay from Magnitude coming on to talk about it. He's like he loves that movie.
That's
like
awesome.
It's just like a time capsule of like 90s hardcore. Some good and some definitely bad things like put into this like horrifically stupid like low budget like student film type movie.
Okay.
It's like funny but not on purpose type vibe, you know?
Reminds me, I remember this friend of mine, he made me and like our group of friends watch this movie. I think it was called Straight Edge Kegger.
I've seen things about that, but I don't really know too much about it. I've seen the name and like seen it pop up, but I don't really know anything about it too much.
It's really bad, but
it's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's so bad that it's funny type thing, you know?
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Like bad movies are awesome, you know? Like they're just like funny and like
I really enjoy this like B horror film called like Homicycle. It's about like this serial killer who just rides a motorcycle, never takes off his helmet. It's all filmed. It looks like it's filmed on an iPhone.
That's cool. Yeah,
like an iPhone 4, not like a 14 or anything new like
awesome.
that. Yeah, so that kind of stuff I can enjoy.
Yeah, well, we've only really done movies we really like so far.
Okay,
but we're definitely gonna watch some movies that we think are like that vibe. Like we actually just recorded an episode on Dark City. You ever seen Dark City?
No, never.
It's like it's the worst fucking movie ever, but it's so overrated. People like love it. People swear it's like a masterpiece, and but you check out the episode if you want to hear me talk about Dark City. But we're gonna watch some movies that we think are turds and just kind of shit on them. So it'll be a good mix of both.
And last thing on the podcast, where does the name come from? Dudes doing movies.
We were just like, just thought it was funny. We're like just dudes doing movies. We're just talking about movies. Yeah,
it's hard to come up with names. Like I didn't even want to come up with a name for my podcast, right? Because I didn't want to go by some like weird moniker or like have people know me as something that I'm not. So that's why I just use my name.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, just like also one of our friends was like pointed out that there's like a funny like sexual innuendo for dudes doing movies, and we're like, oh, that's pretty funny. So we're like, that's
I think the name that fits you guys good. So I
cool.
I like.
Yeah, I mean, thanks. Yeah, that's literally just what it is. It's just people talking about movies. So
okay,
yeah.
Awesome. Well. Go subscribe if you're not already. Support their podcast. It's awesome. Okay. I want to move on to MMA.
Oh, let's go.
Great topic. Leon Rocky Edwards. He just...
let's get Carter. Carter, come make a guest spot. Guest appearance real quick. Let's get Carter in.
Carter.
I just want to gap up. I just want to get Carter on camera.
Wait. These are the two guys. This is why we're here this weekend. We got From Within Records, Plead Your Case. This is it.
What are y'all talking about?
We just stumbled upon MMA. We're about to talk about Leon Rocky Edwards defending his title.
Boom, headshot, dead.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, get the fuck out of here, man.
All right. Thank you. We got Miles back there too. He's not on camera.
Shout out the young legend, Miles.
Yeah, Pensacola legend back there.
Yes, sir.
But okay, going back to the second fight, right? Usman's defending the welterweight title against Edwards. I'm not a fan of Usman, right? To me, I can respect his skills, but outside the cage, not really a fan of what he does. So I was just rooting against him, but also I respected Edwards coming up. Obviously, there was the questionable eye poke against Bilal. They should have. I feel like they should have ran that back, but maybe we'll get it in the future. But I just really wanted Leon to win because his story is crazy. Just to have gotten to that title shot.
I think that I like Usman, especially like more recently.
Okay.
I like him. I like the way he fights more since he started training with Trevor Whitman. And I do think that I like him, and I liked him as a champ. It was cool to see like a dominant champ, but like I like Leon too. And I just think I was rooting for Leon because I thought that Leon winning was more interesting for the division. I will say I'm so fucking burnt out on immediate title rematches too. I understand they're warranted sometimes, but it's been so much lately, and it's just like I'm just fucking over it. Like to the point now where it's like it happens so much that like even the ones that are very obviously Valentina Shevchenko should get an immediate rematch for her belt if anyone deserves it. But I'm just so burnt out on them, and that's not her fault. That I'm just like I don't want to fucking see this right now. Like I'm just tired of it. I just think regardless, if you're the champ and you lose your belt, you should have to fight like one or two, depending. You should have to fight like one or two fights to get back to title contention.
I agree because with this new culture of immediate rematches, I feel like it kills the story right away, right?
Yeah.
So to be able to lose your belt, go out and obviously this example isn't the best, but if you look at someone like Robert Whittaker, he lost to Izzy, but then he had to go fight some killers just to get back to the belt.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like that just makes an even better story instead of giving them the immediate rematch, because if the champ that lost the belt comes back and wins, it's just like, okay, now this is it. It's like it could have been way better and it could have had a better build-up.
Yeah, it just doesn't do anything for the division if sometimes it just stalls things. And like I said, I think that back to Leon and Usman, I think that Leon winning just opens up like way more fresh matchups for title shots. There's like a lot of interesting fights for him. I really hope he doesn't get. I know they're saying he's gonna get Colby, which like sucks. Like just based on the fact that Colby's like resume is like bullshit. He has like the only top 10 win he has, or the only like ranked win he has, is over Masvidal, who's ranked what, like 11th or something like that. And I know the UFC rankings are like fucking bullshit. They don't actually mean anything, but like kind of gotta go by them to some degree. Like take them with a grain of salt, but. He doesn't really have like fucking ranked wins, and I hate that he sat out. I don't hate Colby Covington as much as everybody else does. Like I think his whole shtick that he does is like sometimes like pretty funny because I know it's so tongue in cheek and like so like fake over the top. Like
when he calls Kamzat cum shot, that's
it's
to
awesome.
me. I think that's the funniest thing.
I mean, the thing is this: like people once he retires and like stops doing the character, I think people retroactively will be like think of him the way that they think of Chael Sonnen. They'll just be like, "Oh, he was a troll and it was funny." And right now they hate him, but
because people didn't like Chael because the stuff he was saying about the Brazilians. Tested positive.
But I mean,
look at him now.
He's like, doing a character.
Yeah,
it is what it is. I get it. But yeah, I think that there are way more interesting and more deserved title fights than Colby.
So
right off the bat.
Okay, so you don't like the Colby matchup. I'm not the biggest fan of it just because of everything that you said. But Colby aside, who would you like to see Usman fight?
I mean, to see Usman fight?
Oh, sorry.
Edwards.
Leon.
Like who would I like to see get a title fight?
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, probably Bilal deserves one. Which like I don't really love. I think Bilal's a pretty boring fighter. If Gilbert Burns beats Masvidal, which I think he's gonna, I think Gilbert Burns is pretty in line for a title fight. Shavkat, obviously, I think Shavkat maybe is still like a win away, but like Shavkat's resume is like kind of just as good as Colby's is at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, he's scheduled to fight Bilal. That's the match.
Did that get made? I didn't know if it got officially made.
It hasn't been official, but that's the talks that they're leaning into. Is they're trying to do Bilal Shavkat.
Yeah, I would pick Shavkat to win that fight.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
Same here.
So, and I mean, I know Hamzat's going to 85. Otherwise, Hamzat would be like a pretty obvious one. But Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to George Masvidal. He was just on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
He did his MMA show, and he talked about how he's been training his wrestling with Bo Nickel and his dad. So I'm really curious to see how he comes out as a fighter, because obviously, talking about how much better you've gotten versus showing it is, two different things. So I'm really curious to see how he's going to come out in this Gilbert Burns fight. Cause
we'll see.
If he's saying, he's gotten so much better because he's been training with these like high level wrestlers, I want to see if it's actually true.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not completely counting out Masvidal all the way a lot of people are. I do think that I'm picking Burns to win.
Okay.
But I don't think it's like it's not by any means completely out of the realm of possibility for Masvidal to win. There's ways for him to win that fight, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I want to lean towards George because I've never really been a Gilbert fan, if I'm being honest.
Really, I like Gilbert. Like, I love like he's just like has like he's like an active like submission fighter, which is like he's not like his style of grappling isn't boring to me.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was at the card where he fought Hamzat. I saw that in person, and that was just I liked him before that, but I was just like, oh, that made me such a bigger fan of him at that point. So
yeah, I just wish like I feel like he could fight smarter, right? Because you know how he brawled out with Usman.
Well, he fought smart against Neil Magny.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So if he fights like that against Masvidal, I think he'll win.
Mm.
But if he decides to be like, it's the same shit with Michael Chandler. It's like, okay, do you want to win a fight of the night bonus, or do you want to like win fights and make it to title contention? And there's not really a wrong answer. You know what I mean? Like, I understand, like, being like, yeah, I could probably smoke these dudes if I grappled with them, but I would get booed and people would be pissed off about it. So I'm just going to fucking stand and just, like, throw overhand rights. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, cool. That's cool, too. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, would have been nice to see him win the title because the only person that I can think of off the top of my head that has been in Bellator and then come over to the UFC that's gotten a title is Eddie Alvarez.
I am not a Michael Chandler fan at all. I don't like Michael Chandler. I think his whole like shucks, like fucking like apple pie, like personality is just like it's fucking annoying. And also, I don't really know if I buy it. I think it comes off kind of insincere to me sometimes. Okay. To be honest with you. Yeah,
I feel like he's just like shooting himself in the foot with going for wanting to be so exciting. And, not using his wrestling. Or any of that. And it's fine. Like I said, that's his choice. He wants to go that route. That's how he'll go down in history.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But to me, it's just like kind of just a waste.
Yeah. I also hate that he like stole Dan Hooker's soul too. Because I love Dan Hooker.
Yeah. That's a rough one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, Dan Hooker. That was sad. Because honestly, I bet on Dan Hooker.
Did you?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I don't bet on fights ever. I like to just enjoy them for what they are, and I feel like I would be too stressed out, and also just like it adds this like other. It's just like this pure fun thing that I get to keep up with and follow and enjoy without like the monetary aspect for me, and I like to keep it that way.
Yeah.
I don't remember who I picked to win that fight, but God, dude, it depressed me. I was really rooting for Dan Hooker, but it is what it is.
That's true. Okay, so moving on from the welterweight division, I'm just curious about John Jones. Obviously, he was the most talked about thing in MMA a few weeks ago. What do you think of his performance?
I mean, it just looked like Ciryl Gane just didn't want to be there. I think the moment was just too much for him, to be honest.
It's cracked.
I didn't really realize when I watched it, but some podcasts, I don't remember what podcast I was listening to, they were talking about how like you could just tell on his face when he walked out that he was just like, oh, fuck. And I went back and watched, and I was like, you can definitely kind of tell. I feel like the moment was just too much for him. I think John Jones is going to just like blow the doors off Stipe too. I feel like Stipe at his prime would be really different, but Stipe is like old now. And I know heavyweight's like the division where you can be old.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you can be old and like still compete with like John Jones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like John Jones, like his speed is going to be too much for Stipe because I think Stipe is just really slow.
Yeah, I mean we'll see what happens, but unfortunately I am picking John Jones to win that fight. Honestly, I think that he will beat Stipe and then retire or fake retire or just like, kind of just like be vague about whether or not he's retiring. And then the UFC will probably try really hard one more time to make the Francis fight. And then I think if they don't make the Francis fight, I wouldn't be surprised if he just beats Stipe and then never fights again, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would be really bummed if we never got to see the John Jones versus Francis Ngannou fight.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just one of those fights where we're so close to making it happen.
I would pick Ngannou to win that fight too, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat because he is just way too strong. Right?
He just has the nuclear button.
And he's pretty durable too.
Yeah.
And obviously, we got to see him showcase his wrestling against Stipe.
I don't think he's going to out-wrestle John Jones.
No,
like,
definitely
by any
not.
means,
But he has the ability to help prevent the wrestling from happening.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't think that... I mean, the UFC could make that fight if they wanted, if they would just meet him halfway on the things that he wants, but they won't. And maybe they will. Who knows? But,
I think... not that he's asking for too much, because I think the things that he's asking for, is fair. He wanted to, get a ton of benefits for the whole, roster, not just himself. I think it's just something that the UFC doesn't want to do because it's going to be, taking a lot of money away from them, and obviously the the amount of money that they're taking versus that they're paying, it's insane.
It's fucked up, obviously, but whatever. I don't know. I don't. And it sucks. Like, John Jones is not going to stick around to like fight. Like, he's not going to stick around and fight like Curtis Blades, Tom Aspinall. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to put his legacy on the line for those fights that don't do anything for him. You know what I mean? He's just going to beat Stipe and then like, I don't even know if he'll retire. I think he'll just sit out until something interests him and nothing ever will, and he'll just like never come back, and then they'll put a fucking interim title up and it'll be, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because when you look at Stipe versus all the other heavyweights, nobody has that resume. Nobody's defended the title. Stipe.
So
I can definitely agree with that, because these up and coming guys, it's not worth the risk.
Yeah.
And just with anybody, like, you stick around long enough, you're gonna lose.
Yeah. So
okay. What about tonight? Obviously the day we're recording this, we got Chito Vera versus Corey Sandhagen.
Two of my favorite fighters.
Oh, okay.
I love them both so much. I like truly don't care who wins. Either one, I'll be bummed if. Honestly, the best thing that I can hope for is that nobody gets. Like, my ideal outcome is like a really good, exciting, close fight that goes. Like, I would love for it to go to a split and kind of just be one of those fights where, like, both guys stock rise, you know what I mean? Because I would hate to see either of them take like a big step back, because I love them both so much. But I'm picking... I wouldn't be surprised if Sandhagen wins, but I'm picking Chito to win. Who are you picking?
Corey Sandhagen.
Are you? I think I just could see it going the way that... I could see it going the way that the Rob Font fight went. Which is like... Chito has the most outrageous chin ever for that division. And I mean, I just think that like, it was like Rob Font just like peppered him with like a million strikes and he just didn't wear any damage at all. And it was just like, he just landed these bombs for every like however many strikes, Rob Font landed, and his strikes were just so much more effective, I could see that happening again.
100%. Yeah. For me, when I look at this matchup, I'm a fan of both as well, right?
Yeah.
I like both guys, personalities. I love their skills. But when I look at Corey Sandhagen, I just hope he doesn't become one of those fighters like Uriah Faber, Cowboy Cerrone, where they get put in these positions to have these big fights, but they never really are able to get over that hump.
Yeah.
When you look at him fighting T.J. Dillashaw, Peter Yan, he wasn't quite able to get those wins. When I think
he won, I thought he won that Dillashaw fight.
Same here.
I don't like to use the term robbery like loosely, because I think it gets used way too much.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just like a close fight that could have gone either way, and you don't agree with the decision. It doesn't make it a robbery. You know what I mean? But I thought that Dillashaw fight was that was a straight up robbery. I thought so.
Yeah. So when I look at him, I just hope he doesn't become one of those fighters, because he's so talented, right?
Yeah.
And he has such a great frame for that weight class.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, also though, I think that Chito Vera has a clearer path to the title, than Sandhagen does. Even if Sandhagen wins, he got subbed by Aljo in what, like, it was in the first round. It was just super fast. Like, I just think that Cheeto is more likely to get a title shot than Sandhagen off a win.
Yeah, well, if Sandhagen wins, he has to pray that Henry Cejudo wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
But with Cheeto, either or, he's like in line.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if Cheeto wins, I would love to see for like a title eliminator, Sean O'Malley
do
that rematch.
I would love to see him just like bolt Sean O'Malley, and that way Sean O'Malley has to shut the fuck up with the undefeated shit. Yeah.
And
so I don't bet on fights. I would bet the fucking house on Cheeto Vera if he fought Sean O'Malley right now.
Same here.
Like, I think he would crush Sean O'Malley right now.
Okay. And I mentioned Henry Cejudo. You kind of had a reaction.
He's just annoying. Just so fucking annoying.
See, he's somebody that I love how annoying he is. Just because I get, once again, just like Colby, it's part of his shtick. But, if you can ignore that and look at his resume.
It's part of his shtick, but his shtick is not funny. I think the Colby shtick sometimes can be annoying, and I feel like he needs some new material at this point, but some of his jokes are good.
Okay.
I have never once thought anything Henry Cejudo has said has ever been funny. It's just always annoying. And also him being like, winning the belt and being like, okay, I'm going to sit out until I get paid what I want. Mm-hmm. And then like the UFC being like, okay, bye. You're stripping him immediately. It's just like, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck you, man. And then what? He's now talking about how he wants to come back and go up to featherweight and fight Volk after this fight. Mm-hmm. Like, dude, Volk would murder Cejudo, I think, honestly.
Okay. We'll get to Volk.
Yeah.
Building up to
I love Volk. I'm a giant Volk fan. So.
Okay. Yeah. And for me, when I look at Henry Cejudo versus Aljo, I don't have an easy time picking either of the fighters just because I'm a fan of both, but I've always believed in Aljo. And it was so strange for me to watch him lose. Let me rephrase that. It was weird to watch him get beat up in the first Peter Yan fight, and obviously he won by disqualification.
Yeah.
But to watch that fight, I was so confused. I'm like this is not the normal Aljo.
Yeah, he just was like gassed himself out doing like weird shit, and then like
dude, then the rematch. He was like, okay, this is.
I was at that.
Yeah.
The only UFC card I've ever been to in person was that card that was Volk, Korean Zombie, Aljo Yan 2, and Gilbert Burns, Hamza Chimaev.
That was a good card.
Awesome. So much fun. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it was sick.
Yeah, so I just don't know who to pick because obviously Henry's been out, but at the same time he's been training like a ton of top tier fighters.
Yeah, but he's been coaching fighters, mm-hmm. which I feel like is very different than focusing on your own skill set and your own personal improvement. Like catering your I mean, obviously it's more beneficial than sitting on the couch at home eating ice cream, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't think it's quite the same as training yourself in the way that you would train yourself, But maybe he's been doing that as well. I don't know. I'm not like privy to whatever's going on
for sure.
He trains at Fight Ready, I think, right? Yeah, I don't know what's going on over there. Maybe he's like one of those guys who's like constantly in some sort of like mini fight camp at all times, you know what I mean? I don't know. So
say you'd pick Aljo in that fight?
I don't really have a pick. I don't really know. I'm interested to see what happens. I don't particularly love or hate Aljo. There's things about him that I like that he won the second Yan fight just because I think it's so funny. Mm-hmm. I think it's so funny that he like trolled everybody and then people hated him and were like, dude, he's gonna get murdered, and then he went in there and just like backpacked Yan. Like that's pretty. I thought that was pretty funny, but like he's like, I don't know. I don't really love
his fight against TJ. What do you think about that one?
I mean, what fight? You know what I mean? Like it was just like one of those things too. I don't like TJ. I hate TJ Dillashaw.
Same here.
But
normally I root for the Orange County guys, but not him.
I mean, I just feel like also to some degree, it's like, it's not Aljo's fault. Obviously, he leaned into it in an annoying way, but it's not Aljo's fault that he got the fucking DQ win. And it's not Aljo's fault that TJ went into that fight with one arm. You know what I mean? So, like, he kind of gets the shit end of the stick. And like, because, like, people hate him for those things. And are like, he's a paper champ and, like, whatever. But it's like, bro, it's not his fucking fault. You know what I mean? It's just, like, circumstantial. Like,
what do you think about his training partner, Merab?
I mean, watching the Merab Peter Yan fight, I was just like, this is stressful, bro. What is happening here? Like, and like a bunch of like, I'm in like an MMA group chat. It's like a bunch of hardcore kids that we just like talk about the fights and stuff. And like, they were all like, this is so annoying. He's so annoying. He's so boring. I'm like, I don't know if I think he's boring. Like his style is definitely not. It's like he like isn't really getting all these takedowns. But like, dude, I feel like that's like so demoralizing to somebody to just like shoot over and over and over and over again, and then like you do get them, and you just like kind of let them back up and just take them down again. You know what I mean? It's just like I kind of like his style. I don't really hate him the way like some of the people in that chat are like, he as a person is so annoying. I'm like, I don't really think he's annoying. He's fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
I think him being like a weird bodyguard for Peter Yan is like, or for Aljo is it's fine, I guess. Like,
yeah, we're in one of those situations. So we've seen it over the years, right? With like Rashad Evans, John Jones, DC, Kane.
Yeah.
He is in a weird spot, but I do hope at some point, Aljo finally moves up, because it is like, I think a sad thing to have someone as talented as Merab and him not want to, kind of attain his goals to be champ because his friends there.
My one gripe that I have with Merab though is that I think that the Jose Aldo is like one of my favorite fighters ever. He's so fucking cool.
He's a legend.
And I think that was like the literal worst matchmaking on the part of the UFC that I can remember. Them putting him against Merab, like the worst style matchup ever for him at altitude, in a fight where the altitude very much benefits Merab's style over Jose Aldo's style. And this weird, like, where they had the Brazil pay-per-view coming up, they could have very reasonably given Aldo a title shot in Brazil, which, like, dude, imagine if he at this point in his career, like this late, like twilight of his career, won the belt in Rio. It would have been like top 5 moments ever. You know what I mean? And instead they knock him off against a guy who's not even a contender because he is no path to the title because he's not going to fight Aljo anyways. It's like, that was just the worst matchmaking ever, which I know that's not Merab's fault, but I have like, it makes me kind of like hold it against Merab a little bit,
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely get that. When you see people, take out some of your favorite fighters, it's just like, oh, kind of don't like you a little bit.
Yeah. So it is what it is.
Okay. Well, you mentioned Volkanovski. His fight is where a fight, well, I'll use the term, he was robbed, right?
You think so?
I think so. Because when I watched that, fun fight, but never once did I think, Makhachev was going to get the decision.
That's one where I scored it for Volk.
Okay.
But I understand. I could see it going both ways. And like, I'm not mad at. I mean, I'm mad at the decision in the sense that I am not a Makhachev fan, and I love Volk, and I would have loved to have seen Volk win. But it's looking at it, I'm like, okay, I could see that. You know what I mean? I scored it for Volk, but I could see it going the other way as well. I'm not like, it was a close fight. And I mean, dude, Volk's stock rose so much in that fight. He had nothing to lose going into that fight.
True.
He had absolutely nothing to lose going into that fight.
Yeah, and for him to be so competitive, because right, like the big thing going into that fight, Makhachev kept saying he was a small man.
Yeah.
He was shorter.
Well, I kind of did feel like, I mean, Makhachev's like a big lightweight too.
True.
I felt like going into that fight, it wasn't necessarily going to be an indictment of Volk's skills if he lost, especially depending on how he lost, because I just felt like it was just like it was just the size discrepancy was going to be too much. You know what I mean? And I know he was like, yeah, I fought at 170 and like I played rugby and I weighed like whatever but like still, there's a reason that you're fighting at featherweight and Makhachev is like barely making lightweight. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And now Makhachev's talking about going up to 170 and it's just like, dude.
Yeah, just find your division.
Yeah, I hate the fucking super fight shit. I hate the fucking
unless they make sense. Yeah,
yeah.
It's rare when they make sense.
I don't like it. I don't like the champ shit. Yo, just fucking be Anderson Silva. Just fucking fight a bunch. Just like fight contenders. You know what I mean? I think that's so much cooler. But yeah,
no, I definitely agree because when they go because like look at Volkanovski went up. Held up his division, so they had to create an interim, right? Yeah, which was weird because they were all fighting on the same card.
Yeah,
which I think was strange. And then even with the lightweight's not my favorite weight class these days. It's gotten like a little stale, just because there's not a lot of like superstars right now. Obviously, like there are people coming up, but right now it's just when you look at the top 5 of the division, those people have kind of been like lingering there for a while.
Yeah, it's like, well, it does sort of feel like right now there is sort of this changing of the guard where it's like you have like Gamrot, Fazeev, Jalen Turner, just like that kind of class of people coming up, and then it seems like Gaethje, Poirier, those dudes are like kind of on their way out a little bit. I do think I love Gaethje and I love Poirier. I love both those dudes so much. Those are 2 of my favorite fighters. But I do think that both of them are about to have their Tony Ferguson type decline. I feel like and I love Tony Ferguson too.
Here.
I feel like they're both like 1 or 2 fights away from like just like absorbing like a soul crushing amount of damage, even if they win, but just like, and it's just like a very just like going off a hill after that. I feel like both those dudes are very close to that. I think Dustin will. I mean, they could. I feel like they both are. It seems like they both might retire before that happens too. But I think both of them are either going to retire very soon or have that kind of decline.
Yeah, when I look at Gaethje, he's been doing that style for so long.
Yeah.
It's like, how is he still able to do it? It just blows my mind.
Yeah, I was picking Fazeev to beat Gaethje, and then that first round I was watching the fights, and I was like, damn, man, he's fucking like, he's so much faster than Gaethje is. And like for every shot that Gaethje was throwing, Fazeev was getting off like 3 or 4, like a 3 or 4 punch combination for every like hook that Gaethje was throwing and missing. You know what I mean? And but I was watching the fights with Alfredo. I from Alfredo from Envision. Me and him watched like every card together. And the one thing that we were like, holy shit, man, was Gaethje looked like a fucking giant compared to Fazeev. Like in there next to each other, we were like, they look. I was like, I didn't realize that the size, the like optics of it, like the size was so much. And I just feel like Gaethje's was just so much bigger, and his power was just so much more that like when Fazeev kind of started to gas out a little bit, Gaethje was just like putting those power shots on him still, and that's kind of how he won. And in the third round when he started using the jab and it was like landing every single time, it was just like, dude, if he'd been using this jab since the beginning of the fight, because he wasn't really throwing the jab until the third round.
Yeah.
If he was using the jab, I mean, awesome adjustment, like good on him for making that adjustment. But if he was using the jab since the beginning, I think he would have won the first round and probably like maybe finished the fight like late in the second, early in the third. But yeah. I feel I like lightweight, and I think that right now we're kind of seeing this like changing the guard. Also, that fight though, I love Fazeev. He's fucking awesome. I don't think that loss really sets him back that much.
No, because
he's young and he's got plenty of time, and that's a loss that like just the way he fought definitely like endeared him to a lot of fans.
Yeah, it showed that he can hang with the people at the top.
Yeah, for sure.
He didn't get like outclassed.
Yeah, for sure. So
yeah, and I'm very curious for Dustin Poirier too, because he's been out because he had that crazy staph infection. He almost lost his leg.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see him get healthy and be able to come back. But
I can see him getting one more title shot.
Yeah, for sure. Like I was so surprised when he lost against Charles, because because at that point he just looked so unstoppable. Right, he was coming off of the Conor wins, but even before that, I just thought, I was like, this is his time.
Yeah, I was picking him to win. I picked against Charles for every fight. And then I was like, I love Charles, and I was like, man, he's awesome. But like, I picked Michael Chandler to win. Okay. I picked Dustin to win, and I picked Gaethje to win. And then he went up to that. He went to the Islam fight, and I was like, I can't pick against him anymore. The man has proved me wrong and shut me up 3 times in a row. And then I was like, he's gonna win this fucking fight. And then, geez.
Yeah.
Depression. I was so depressed, dude.
Yeah, Islam just made it look easy.
I was at a wedding the night of that.
I think
fight.
I remember you texted me.
Yeah, I texted you about it. I was at a wedding, and I was like, me and Alfredo were like, we will wait until tomorrow. We will go dark. We will not look at our phones. We left our MMA group chat, both of us. We were like, we are just going to avoid spoilers. And then I got it spoiled for me literally at the wedding. My girlfriend was like talking to like a family member, and she's like, yeah, he loves he watches MMA. He's like really excited for these fights tomorrow, and just some random guy was like, "You talking about the fights? You talking about blah blah blah?" And I was like, "Yo, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up." And he like kind of spoiled it for me. And I kind of knew going into it. I was like, yeah, and then it happened, and I was just like, well, I'm fucking depressed now. Like,
damn, the guy at the wedding was right.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really curious to see what Islam does because you mentioned he was calling out Leon, but they're talking about him headlining the Abu Dhabi card in the summer
at welterweight is what they're saying, which is like annoying.
Yeah,
it's just fighting your fucking division. Fight fucking Beneil Dariush.
Well, I'm pretty sure he's matched up against Charles. That's the fight.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm unfortunately I am picking him to bulldoze Charles. I think Dariush is a very bad style matchup for Charles.
Yeah, and he's just like this like silent killer in the division, right? He's always been there. He's on just like this crazy streak. He's an Orange County guy too. So
he fights at Kings, right? Trains out of Kings.
Yeah, he does. He's out of like so there's like the main Kings in Huntington Beach, but I think he's out of Kings out of like Anaheim or
cool. Yeah,
but super talented.
Yeah, I'm picking him to beat Charles. I would like to see Charles win. I like Beneil Dariush, but I love Charles. But I'm picking Dariush to win that fight. I think it's just a bad style matchup. Charles gets hit a lot. Charles just gets hit so fucking much. And like, I just think that both of them are kind of like gonna get hit a lot. And I just think that Dariush is way more durable than Charles is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he almost got taken out by Chandler.
Yeah.
So yeah, he leaves himself like a little too open.
Yeah, for sure. But
okay, what about are you a fan of 125? Brandon Moreno down there?
Yeah, Brandon Moreno's awesome. Brandon Moreno winning the belt and like crying in the octagon is like one of the like best feel good MMA moments ever.
You're talking about his first.
When he first won it off Figgy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was never a fan of Figgy.
He's cool. I mean, he's like an anime villain. Like literally, like him and Brandon Moreno fighting is literally like some weird fucking anime shit. It'll be cool to see him go up to bantamweight if he does go up to bantamweight, like he's saying.
Yeah, because if that weight cut's too hard, I think there's really.
He's pretty old now too for those divisions, though. I mean.
Yeah, so it'd be nice to see people fight healthier.
For sure.
Yeah, but Moreno winning, by that crazy nasty like eye cut. What would you think about that?
I mean, it was a good doctor stoppage, and it's not like some bullshit doctor stoppage. Like that happened as a result of Moreno's game plan. You know what I mean? So it was a good stoppage.
Yeah, 100%. And for me, I was just like so happy to see that because I was so surprised to see him lose the decision and the fight.
Yeah, I again, I don't throw around robbery a lot, but I scored that for Moreno for sure. And the first fight, I mean, was so competitive too, you know? And like, I don't know. I think they fought 4 times, and I think that Moreno definitely won 3 out of the 4.
Yeah, and that's super rare too to see that many rematches at like that level.
Enough. Like I said, enough with the fucking.
Yeah, no, I hope there is like that culture shift where it's like, okay, like let's just let's put our flag in there and give it to Shevchenko, right?
Yeah.
Alexa Grasso, props to her. She trained for that. She got that awesome win. Let them run it back, but then let's just stop it there, right?
Yeah, fresh matchups are just more fun, more interesting.
Yeah, because when I think back to Juliana Pena and Amanda Nunes, I forget that she won the belt because the last rematch was just it was just so one-sided, and Juliana Pena just looked like she didn't even belong in there. It's like, how the hell did she even get the title in the first place? Yeah. So that just like. Just kind of like, if in my mind, it like deletes that history and I forget about it because it happens so fast right after.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You got the Travis Scott ones on? I'm getting distracted a little bit by
that. Oh, dude, you shoes.
Those are hard.
Thank you. I wore these yesterday. Nobody said anything, so I thank you.
Putting respect.
Thank you.
I don't really like low ones, but those ones I do like. The Travis Scott ones I do like.
Okay. Thank you. I definitely appreciate that. Thank you. You got the Jordans on, too?
The True Blues.
Your
These are my beaters. They're falling apart.
Okay.
I wore them today because it's raining. I didn't want them to get fucked up, but yeah.
I'm planning to stay indoors. I'm not sure if it's supposed to rain all day.
No, I don't think it's gonna. It was like we're loading our shit in the rain. So, Sorry to derail. I just
No,
wanted to put some respect on the feet.
Yeah, just going back to MMA. Just hope I hope the culture shifts where people are okay with not seeing immediate rematches.
Yeah.
Because it'd be great to, because they're always so focused on trying to, make these like big pay-per-views by throwing, top-heavy title fights, which I get, like the allure of a title. But if you have a great storyline, I think that could trump just a random title fight.
Like Colby Masvidal, and I think that fight was made a little too late, but still, that was an example where the storyline was enough to where they felt like they could put that as the headliner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
or Conor Poirier.
That your wife's in my DMs.
I'm obsessed with my favorite weird Conor thing is that voice memo of him going P-head, calling Dustin P-head. It kills me, dude. It's so funny.
Man, I didn't even want to talk about him, but I'm such a fan of Conor. I'm always just in my mind, just please just stop, because I feel like we're at the point where it's just you're gonna ruin your legacy, right? Because people, it's what have you done for me lately? And when we look at the leg break, the knockout, both from Dustin Poirier, it's that's what people are gonna remember you as, and it's that's not who you are. It happened. But when you think about how he changed the whole landscape of MMA, his story, it's amazing.
I'm not a Conor fan.
Oh, you're not? That's very surprising for me to hear.
Care about Conor.
You don't care about Conor. He changed the whole game. You don't care.
I don't like him.
Damn.
I'm a Jose Aldo fan.
Oh. That you can't even wrote a story better than that.
Yeah.
How that all came together, because they did the world tour to promote that fight, and these days I'm still a hardcore MMA fan, but before I used to watch every press conference, everything. But for that world tour, I was tuned in every moment. Even I'd be at work. I used to work at the startup, and I'd be I'm gonna put it on the computer, and people would be like, "What the hell is this? We don't even know what this is."
Yeah, I got into MMA a decent bit after that fight.
Okay.
But when I got into it, I got so into it, and I went back retroactively and just chronologically, just watched so many pay-per-views and just followed and just kind of you know what I mean? So I don't necessarily have the same context of Conor McGregor's rise, because I wasn't watching when it happened.
Okay.
But just I'm just not a Conor McGregor fan, man.
Yeah, no. These days, when I'm watching what he's doing with the antics with Khabib and the whole bus incident, it's just I'm come on, man, just do a little bit better. It's not that hard.
I just I don't know. I just I don't think he is gonna beat very many people in the lightweight top 15 at this point.
I agree. That's why it bums me out. Especially you think about the history of these leg breaks. Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman. Nobody comes back the same.
Yeah.
It's never a good thing. So for him to think otherwise, it's just I think his history is just going to repeat itself, and he's just going to end up Chris Weidman. It's been 3 years. He hasn't come back from that fight.
Yeah.
Anderson Silva did come back. He's boxing, whatever, but he never looked the same.
Yeah.
And Conor was already on a decline, and now you add the leg break on top of that. It's just I agree with you, and it's sad to say that I don't think he can hang with top 15.
No. Chandler is the best style matchup he has. I think up high in the rankings for lightweight. I do think if Chandler decides to wrestle, it's there's zero chance Conor wins. If he stands and throws fucking overhands with him like he does, if he just brawls with him, he still has a pretty good shot at winning, I think. I think if they stand and brawl, it could kind of go either way, but
yeah,
because Chandler does get hit,
he does,
and Conor obviously has power, but Chandler's a strong guy too, and
he's super durable, because we haven't seen him get knocked out.
Yeah,
right. So he's gone to the crazy decision with Gaethje, and then he got subbed, which it happens.
I was really hoping to see Gaethje Conor, because I think Gaethje would have just fucking put it on.
Dude, you think about those leg kicks, dude? I think Gaethje wins that easy.
Yeah. I do too.
Yeah,
but
and for me, a lot of people want that Conor matchup because they, that's the money fight. But I feel like that's even running out.
Yeah. Because Gaethje's gonna retire before that happens at this point.
Yeah.
I could see that being a farewell fight for him too. Maybe he works his way back to a title fight, doesn't win it, and they're just like, give him the Conor fight on his way out. You know what I mean? And I still think he would smoke Conor 2-3 fights from now.
Yeah, no, I agree because Gaethje still looks like Gaethje. Like, even though
that's a bad style matchup for Conor for sure.
Yeah, because he had the loss against Poirier, but other than that, like Charles or no, Khabib.
Yeah.
But then there's not like a decline. He doesn't look.
I mean,
like
everybody
punchy or
who's
anything.
ever beat Gaethje is or was at some point a title holder. I think Eddie Alvarez, or an interim title holder at least. Eddie Alvarez, Dustin Poirier, Charles, and Khabib.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's not like nothing to hang your head about. Losing to that group of people.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. So I think him and Poirier both will probably go down as, if they don't win titles before their careers end, the two best fighters to never have undisputed UFC titles.
Yeah, because right now, when I look at that list, I look at like Uriah Faber.
Yeah.
He's like the one where it's like, I'm such a fan of him. And not so much these days because like the camp's a little different, but back then when like Team Alpha Male was like the thing, like I was such a huge fan of that camp, and for him to be like the leader of it, I always wanted to see him succeed because he had success in WEC.
Yeah.
Till he ran into Mike Brown. But then he came over to the UFC, he had a ton of good fights, but just never was ever able to climb that mountain and get that belt.
His fight style is a little boring to me, but I like him so much as a person that I'm kind of willing to like look past it. You know, like I loved watching his season of
The Ultimate
Tough,
Fighter.
wjust like Conor's just like trying so fucking hard,
get
and
under his
Faber's
skin.
just like chilling.
Yeah, such a
and
nice
like
guy.
by the end of it, Conor just like he just like likes Faber by the end of it. Like if you look at interviews afterwards, he like even admits it. He's like, dude, I tried so hard to not like the guy, and you just can't help it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he's just good spirits, and he knows what it is. You know, he never like let Conor get under his skin, and it was always funny because it was always like the other people getting super mad at Conor.
Yeah,
and,
Cody Garbrandt and shit. Yeah.
Oh, Garbrandt, what do you think about his last fight?
I mean, he's so washed, dude. Like beyond washed.
Yeah, it's sad because
I don't like Garbrandt.
I can respect like his skills, but I'm not a fan either.
Yeah, when KKF like just like obliterated him, watching them fight, and I was like, damn, dude, KKF looks so small next to Garbrandt, and then he hit him and just like fucking flatlined him. I was screaming, dude. It was awesome.
To me, it was just a mistake. I'm like, dude, you saw how bad it was for TJ, who was even on stuff, to go down and didn't have any success. So for you to go down, and he looked really bad, like to get so sucked down, it's just it's not worth the compromise in your health just to make it down to another weight class. Because to do it healthy and just like the sacrifices you got to make, it doesn't really bode well for a lot of people to like cut that much weight.
Yeah, not at all.
So it was just just not a good look.
Yeah.
But we just got the signal. We got to wrap things up. But Jeff, can we do something that wasn't planned? Can we walk out with the camera to the hall and do the last thing out there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry. we're springing this on Jeff. We're on the fly. We're here in a kitchen in the venue. He's kind of having to take apart his camera, but this was not planned. We're going to cut next clip out in the main hall. All right. Hardcore Pride Weekend, day 2, wrapping things up. We got the flea market behind us. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Thank you, Lennon. I very appreciate your time. I love everything you do.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.